Hi, this is File One Man again, giving you one man's opinion. I'm going to see if we can make the case for getting a 1070 video card over a 1080. I like the idea of saving the $220. The 1070 is $380 at this point. The 1080 is around $600. I like the idea of having a 1440 2K monitor. I think that's becoming the standard. Probably in 2 years, no one will buy 1080 anymore unless you have a very specific need where the funds are really limited. So buying a 1070, saving $200 to put towards a 2K monitor seems like an ideal situation. The 1080, what I see is this. Now, if you're an early adopter, the 1080 is the way to go. If you have the best CPU, the best motherboard, you overclock, you have some of the best headphones from Turtle Beach or Astros, then I could see 1080, $600, way to go. But remember, the 1070 is 97% the base and boost clock speeds of the 1080. So that's 97% you're getting. The same 8 gigabytes of VRAM. Yes, it doesn't, the 1070 has regular GDDR5 memory and the 1080 has 5X, but you're getting quite a bit for $380 of the 1070. Now, another concerns we have is the Titan. Probably 1070 so far, preliminary stuff indicates that it's close, the 1070 is close to the FPS of the Titan. If I can play Fallout 4, Crysis 3, The Witcher series, GTA, and get speeds close to the Titan for $380, that's a buy in my mind. Now, another item that comes up. My previous feelings were you have to save for a video card every 2.5, 3 years, maybe at most. Before, I had hoped to trade in a video card every 2.5 years. If you wait into the third year, for instance, my 970, I paid about $380. If I trade it off in the sell it in the 2.5 years, I might get $100 on the $380 that I spent. If I wait for 3 years, I'll probably get nothing. And this is what you see over here. So I think the 1070, 1080 iteration is going to force us to sell our old cards every 1.5 years now. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. Now, the key question also, I think, is unless you're an early adopter and you have the money to spend on the 1080, the key question would be, does your video card play the games that you like to play at 60 FPS? And if you're rendering, does it render fast enough? The question with video cards probably should always be, does it play the games you want at the proper FPS? And does it render quickly? Yeah, if you're rendering and it takes an hour and a half to render something and the 1080 takes half that time, perhaps you can let it render for 2 hours at night. Okay, the other concern we have is TDP, the temperatures that the video cards run at. For me, it's almost inconsequential, but the 1070 runs at 150 watts. The 1080 runs at 180 watts. If you recall, the 970 ran about 145, and the 770 ran about 230. So, but if heat is a concern, there you go. But to me, if you're going to spend that the money that we spend on our motherboards and cases and everything else, then temperatures is perhaps a concern, but not really. Another item to be concerned about the 1080, 1070 is, especially now, wait and see what MSI, Asus, and EVGA come out with. What kind of coolers do they have? What kind of speeds? Do they have overclocks? If you recall, even EVGA, who puts pretty good stuff in their cards, had a coil whine that everyone commented on. So you want to wait and see how the testing goes, and hopefully there'll be not much coil whine, but it's a concern. So you want to wait for the big players. My opinion, I would rarely get a card from someone else besides the big three: MSI, Asus, and EVGA. It's if you save $80, but I'd rather wait a month or two and get good quality, because in my mind, you're going to use your video card for 2 years, 2.5 years, unless you come into a windfall of. So, another item, there's a lot of uncertainty about 1080 and 1070s, what they can do in what situation. Remember, the 970, which I have at this point, I have 970 in SLI because I do rendering. And I like to do racing games with my Fanatec steering wheel. I have a 970 SLI. It's still pretty powerful. SLI gives you problems at times. For instance, Sony Vegas, it turns out, can't handle SLI. And I was getting tearing and things I didn't like on the screen. When I turned off SLI using the NVIDIA stuff, Sony Vegas ran perfectly. So you have to play with SLI, but in running my 3-monitor setup, 144 hertz at 1080, the racing games are a lot of fun and you really get immersion. So remember, perhaps you can get a 1070 now for $380, and maybe a year buy a second one and have SLI 1070, and you're probably good with the SLI 1070 for 2 years. So it gives you time to save some money. Another item. In 3840 by 2160 4K, if you notice that the 1080 has 31 FPS, that's in Crysis 3. And the 980 Ti, I've seen people come up with 25 FPS. And the 980 SLI, I've seen 38 FPS. So that's the picture I'm seeing. In Grand Theft Auto, another game, with the 1080, I've seen 76 FPS. And at 980 Ti, it was 44. And with the 980 SLI, it was 68. So it depends on what games you play. You can get widely different settings. Now, admittedly, I don't often play a game if all the settings aren't on max, like the Witcher series. It's unbelievable. You can walk around and see the worlds, and there's a world of difference at everything's set at max. So if I'm going to spend $380 every 2.5 years on a video card, I want to have my settings at max. To me, it's this. And whoa, $600? How long will it take me to save $600? Quite a while. And the 1070 is 97% in some cases of the 1080. So the 1070 makes the most sense and leaves dollars on the table. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, and also please subscribe. This is File One Man with One Man's Opinion.